Hey everybody, welcome to today's lesson. So let's start with the first one. And this is not really a lesson, this is a feedback video. And if you're a Patreon, you can send me your work for a review. See the description under this video. So let's start with the one from Sarah. So here, let's start. So this is a cool character. Let's duplicate it and put the opacity a bit down and take a sketch. So I really like it. So I think what we could do is add a bit more, try to push some of the angles, like here in the shoulders. For example, put this shoulder here and this shoulder a bit more down, and also in the hips. That here, especially here with this part, that this hip is a bit higher and that maybe this leg is coming a bit more towards us. So that you're using here for shortening. So for shortening is when something is distorted by perspective. Then here we also have this leg. So also here these strips on these on their legs. Think about how this moves around the leg. So try to see how this goes around like this here. And then here, this one is going around like this. So what I usually do is when I'm drawing things around, I'm drawing through the shapes. And let me show what I mean with that. And that helps me getting the right 3D feeling. For example, if this was the leg and I'm drawing here these strips, then I would draw them, sketch them through, and then making the final lines like this, so that you're really thinking about how does this go around the shape. The same here, this belt makes it look flat, and a belt is a great way of showing that it goes around. So try to think that. So here, this angle also helps giving this character this look. I really like this head. So I would watch out with getting these 2 points so close together. Here, this gun and this one. So maybe I would put this one like this here. Really, so what I usually do is I draw these construction shapes. So like here. And then I'm drawing on top of that. So try to really draw these objects that you really think about. How does this hand wrap? And I think with a gun, so maybe you can look up some reference, but with a gun, a lot of times you see the here from, if we would draw this gun from a side view, you're not going to draw it in your illustration like this, but then a lot of times we're seeing the sides of the gun, and that's then the hand. Here's the fingers. The fingers are over this part, and this part sticks out often with guns. So try to think about that. So here, and then here's, yeah, give it some room to breathe. Also here, maybe this works because this is overlapping. So so that's fine. So that's really good. Maybe you can also use some more foreshortening here, so that this hand here. But great work. So one couple of things I want to tell you. So use these angles. Think about drawing around your shapes. And also, maybe what would really help for you is to really construct these characters. So think about how, yeah, sketch them like this. And I think you've seen me do that, right? So seeing all these construction, and so that you also really think about the shapes the character is built on, and that you think in 3D, like this ball or this cube, that you really build your characters with with these shapes, or at least think about it, so that it looks more 3D. So sometimes it um, could look a bit more 3D-ish if you really wrap around those shapes and think about how it's constructed. But great work, keep it up. So let's look at this awesome drawing or painting from Alina. So let's again put this here, this down. So with less, so I think something like this. So first I want to check the perspective. It looks like the horizon line is here because I see the sun in the distance. And one thing I then noticed is that it's exactly in the middle. Let's remove this one. But also what I would do is, maybe, unless it's for a children book or something and you're working with square pages, but I find it more interesting to use these kinds of canvas, and then using the rule of thirds, because you want to avoid symmetry. You want to create interesting shots. So I would put the horizon line on this one. And then maybe then I put these lines. And I always want some point of interest on one of these points. So let's move this a bit here. Maybe we can make this even closer, or make the character bigger. Taking this character, because this is the most important part of the drawing. So maybe, yeah, I would maybe make it this big. So then I think that's interesting, because then we have this point here and this point here. So there's this nice dynamic. And then we have here this point, and that's great for this barn. So how would the perspective be? So somewhere, something like this, I think. Yeah, and then I could draw the barn here, something like that. Then here the squirrel. So here's this squirrel. Or maybe, if this squirrel is so important, maybe we can put it somewhere here. I don't know. I'm just trying to find and trying to tell a story. So this mom with her kid is walking past this squirrel, and the kid sees the squirrel. So you want, first you look at the mom. So maybe let the mom look at the kid. So let's take the color. I hope it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, send me an email and ask your question. So she looks at the kid, and the kid, so the kid's eyes are looking at the squirrel. Now we also use this point here, this rule of thirds, and we're using this one and this one. So we're getting this triangle. At least I'm trying to find an interesting composition for that. So here. Maybe everything is a bit too big. So maybe we could make it a little bit smaller, something like this. So I hope you can see how I'm playing around with all these things. So maybe put this more in the background. Maybe make them again a bit bigger. I think that's also more interesting for the composition. So we're having these characters here. So this, and I like to have depth in it. So like this here, and then here this, make this a bit more like this here. Then here's perspective, this barn. Maybe there's this fence here or here. So maybe here. So something like this. Foreground elements are also working for depth. You want to have something in the foreground. So maybe there's this also a road going here, maybe something like this. And there's also here. So these pads also direct the eye. I hope it makes sense. I'm making a mess of it, but this basically this is how I figure out all these compositions, because then first you're thinking and it's okay that it's messy. You don't want to make everything really beautiful, and if you're not sure, you're going to work it out. So, and if I like it, for example, I like this drawing, then I'm taking this layer and then I'm going to start drawing in the final work and fix all the things and so on. Maybe I put something here in the foreground as well. And maybe there's here, these gardens are great for getting some depth there and so on. Maybe you would use some of those gardens here as well. So here, these things. But great work, Alina. I hope that helps. Look at the drawing again. Yeah, colors, it looks really great. You're also using this atmospheric perspective that things get lighter in the distance. So watch out with this, because I think it's bunny, but it's hard to see. So maybe watch out. I would make, or it could be really distracting, but then maybe I would maybe put it here. It's sneaky eating from the cabbages, something like this here. I think that's funny. But in the most easy way to change this drawing is maybe like this. Because I think it's already really good, like this here. So I think this works better, because then that scroll is more here. But I think, yeah, it works better if these characters are also a bit bigger. Great work. I hope you find my feedback useful. Let me know if you have any more questions. So let's look at this perspective. And I think you're working in Procreate. And in Procreate, you also have the tools for perspective in Procreate. So there's this tool from, I don't know if maybe you used it, maybe not. So let's see. Take the ruler and put them like this. This looks, oh, this looks pretty okay. So this is a good perspective. Let's see where these lines go. So somewhere there, somewhere here. So that's really nice. So let's put this a bit lower. So you're asking something about measurement. So here we have this first object. So what I do is when I want to figure out some sizes, I just draw a character, and it could be a sketch here, and maybe even you take the character out at a later moment. So here, just draw this character here. Maybe the character is a bit smaller. And what I would do then is put this character here. Then I would add here this perspective line like this here. Then I see, oh, this character at this point needs to be this big. So now I want to know the table there. So take perspective line and go here. So now I take this, take this character, put it here, and draw a lot of another lines. So here. So this character should be somewhere here. So, and then you could stand next to a table and see if the table is correctly. So that's one way of figuring out. So if I now want to check this bank, I would put a character here. Then I would make it again smaller. So it fits there. And then I would put it here. And then I would also look the perspective point from here. So this character needs to be this big. So it feels a bit like the couch should be a bit bigger. So I think this should be a bit more like this. So maybe we merge this all together. Erase this a bit. So if this character is sitting here, so I can imagine that he's this big or something. So now I'm guessing it's something like this. So then couch should be a bit this size. So sometimes there are characters in it, and you can erase them again. But I use characters often to measure out things. So there's also another way you could measure out things is by let me pick another color. So maybe we know that this is 1 meter. I'm just saying. And I want to use this also here. So how could we figure that out? What we can do is drawing these lines through like this here. And drawing a line here and also here and here. So now we know the middle of this point. Taking the ruler, drawing a line in the middle. So now if we're taking the line here in the middle of this block, getting to this point and then going through here, you know it there. So if we take this point, we have this. And what this is, we have one window, let me call it window, here and here. So this is 1 meter. This is also 1 meter. And you can repeat this step. So take this point, take the green line. Going through this again. Wait. I'm always messing this a bit up, but oh yeah, I could do this. Going straight up and then here. So here, so I also know that this is 1 meter. So if I go again, going here and here and here, I know that this is also 1 meter, 1 meter. Then again. So this also 1 meter. But you can also now take the middle here. So this is also 1 meter. So this is how you could figure out those sizes. You could use that in a lot of different ways. I'm talking more about this in the perspective videos, also some more advanced ways that I don't know out of my head. But I hope this is what you meant, and if it's useful. Great work. So let's look at this drawing from Sarah. This is cool. And you asked to add more drama. And I really like there's already drama happening here. How can we make this more stronger? So I think by adding perspective. So we could make this more. If we want to make him powerful, we need to give it the feeling that he's big. So I usually use perspective then like this. So a cheap way to do this now is by making this a bit like this here. So like this. Maybe I even would drop those characters under there for now. Just focus on this character and let we draw this character from this angle here. That we see the bottom of his nose. Maybe his mouth open. Then these eyes. And here, this hair. Then here, this hand. I really like this hand. This hand looks awesome. So maybe I can make this hand big, like this here. So then you get really the perspective feeling. Then we have this book. So like this, also add some perspective to the book. Maybe we can make this book bigger. So something like this. And let's see, maybe put it here. But we have some space for these flames. And then that is holding it. And let's put a frame behind it. And let's put this away. So now we have this. Maybe we can add these characters here. Let them look at the book, because we want to let that be the focus point. So maybe he's doing like this. And maybe here this leopard is still so something here. I don't know about the leopards, but the main thing is this. I want to have this spooky, so maybe some effects like this. And what I think can really help, so let's choose shadow. So something like this here. And then make some lightning. Or I know something better. So fill this with this color. Take the eraser. Then we're going to erase the parts that needs to be lightened. So here these eyes. Then here this cheek. Maybe this mouth. Here this chin. I just made a tutorial about lighting from the underside. Let me see. If you go to my Instagram, you can see that one. It's one for the new storyboarding lessons I'm working on. Yeah, that works. So, now. So maybe putting some light here. Oh, it's not working that great yet. But if you have this light that's coming from bottom, from this one, maybe using selection tool like this. And we get a soft brush. So yeah, this could work. So here again. And then maybe you can use the lightning also here on these characters a bit. So like this here. Like this. Like this. Here these edges. So maybe. So I think if you want to add some drama, I think this could really help a lot. And maybe you can add some extra darkness here, here. Maybe even here more. Here, here, here. So to all create this this drama, and yeah, you can make it green or so on to make more. So maybe that's but great work. But maybe you can try to work in these kinds of shots and think about how how can you use perspective to basically the same drawing, only put it in perspective, gives a lot more drama. Think about if you're watching a movie, why are they choosing certain shots? Because they want to, they know how to use a camera angle to add more drama and so on. Great work. Let's go to Yunus. He had some questions in three-quarter face drawing. For example, the head is turned to the right. Will the eye on the right be adjacent to the nose, for how much of the eye will be drawn? Not being able to solve this very upsets me. So first thing I think is that it's good that you're really thinking this much. And let's look at this one here. I don't know if I made this drawing myself now, or did you redrawn it, or I don't know anymore. Maybe it's a sketch from somewhere, or I don't know. Main thing is that this eye feels okay, but here this other eye not really. And what could help to get it right is to draw this eye mask on top of this face. So try to think about how is this going around this face. Then here we have this ball, and here, and you know that I talked about this cupcake, right? So here's this eye socket is a bit sunk in, so it should look a bit more like this. So here, so I think this would be more correct. Yeah, this, at least for me, this feels more natural. So yeah, sometimes I use these masks, and I could also use that here. So here. So maybe adding this here. So maybe this is my own drawing and I did this wrong myself or something. But I would, yeah, give it a little bit more space. If you would draw a mesh around it, it will look something like this. So here this eye is a bit behind this nose bridge. Question 2. In a 3/4 drawing, I could not understand the slope of the open and closed mouth towards the side where the face turns. I followed with perspective. So basically the mouth goes around the face. But here I'm cheating a little bit, but still I'm thinking about, yeah, here how this mouth wraps around this head. So this is a little bit cheated, but in drawing this looks well. What's really good is to look at, maybe look at some Disney 3D movies and try to see those shots, how the mouth looks in 3D. Because a lot of times I'm cheating the mouth a little bit on these type of drawings, but also a bit of personal choice. But if you are drawing the mouth, try to think about that it must feel like the head is a little bit curved. It's not straight. It's also a little bit, always a little bit curved. But don't overthink it. Study, you can go, if you want to work in this style of drawing, it's totally fine to study, for example, Frozen. Take the Frozen DVD or something and freeze some frames and then study those angles from the head. That's a really useful lesson. Question 3. Can you also mention about cheekbones in 3/4? I can't catch the right fold. What I usually do is just try to think of the head as this ball, and then the side of the head, and then here I'm adding the jaw. And then here we have this line that's going like this here, then here. So here, think about that this line is going like this here, and this here. So this is basically how I draw this. So I could also draw that from different angles. So from the side, we have the head here. So this line is going a bit, it's not straight down, but it's going a bit to that. Then here we have the middle. And then I'm drawing a line that's going like this. There's then the, and then here we have the neck going like this. But don't overthink these things. You need to get this feeling, what feels right. And that's just by practicing a lot. And you get the right sense by practicing, by studying what I taught, by videos or by looking at your favorite artist and look at how they draw. So find some good drawings you can use as a reference and learn from. And then later you can try to make your own version. I hope that answers your question, Eunice. Maybe you can send me some more sketches from you and then I can give feedback on you. Because don't think too much about it, do. Drawing is a lot about doing it. The theory is often more simple and that's oftentimes confusing, that it's easy to understand, but it's really hard to get right. That's it for today. Thanks everyone for the artwork. And if you also want feedback for your drawings, you can send it to me. See the description under this video. and I hope to see you next time. So bye-bye, everyone.